Achieving a gorgeous grin from home isn't a total mystery with Bite Clear aligners. Just don't be surprised if all of your sleuthing friends start asking, "What's your secret?" Begin by ordering your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95. Bite Clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces. Plus, they offer flexible financing, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
When you pick up some scratches, cause you want a fun break, the playful way you scratch is the next choice you should make. You can make your dog's leg kick and scratch with that. You could even grab a laser pointer and use your cat. You can build yourself a homemade scratching machine, or use a piece from your chess set. Go ahead, grab the queen. Scratch like a DJ with your record player. A cactus could scratch off that scratchable layer. Cause when it comes to scratching, there's a million playful ways. Thanks to scratchers from the California Lottery, a little play can make your day.
Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs. Also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
And welcome back to Scarred for Life, the podcast where we open up old wounds by looking back at the films that scared us as kids. I'm Terry.
And I'm Mary Beth.
And each episode, our special guest brings with them a movie that traumatized them as a child.
This week, our guest is Clayton Jones. He is the creator and co-host of the Men Who Like Movies podcast. Welcome to the show.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
We're excited to chat with you. So let's start from your podcast and your creative stuff. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about Men Who Like Movies?
Of course, I would love to. A few years ago, I had never listened to a podcast in my life, ever. But my friend and I, of over a decade, we always just talked about movies all the time. It's all we talked about in great detail. And none of my other friends ever wanted to talk about stuff like that. And it was just like, man. And he started listening to Horror Queers, I believe, and was like, podcasts are great. And I still was like, I don't want to listen to podcasts. And he finally got me to listen to one of their episodes. And I was like, okay. And then I just started listening to podcasts all the time. And people had been telling us for a while, even before this, you guys should start one. And finally, I was like, couldn't be too hard. Let's do it. Yeah.
We always say that.
Yes.
Famous last words. It sounds easy to do a podcast. I'll do that.
Yes. I think I still would have done it, but
oh, same.
Oh, yeah, absolutely wouldn't trade it for the world, but it is way more work than a lot of people expect. Like editing and and I think what people also don't think about is the research. Like watching the movies ahead of time, also counts, and I also forget to count that. Like how the time we spend prepping too. Like I don't think about that sometimes.
And promoting, like it's a lot of time. Right?
Yeah.
I don't even think we had released our first episode yet. We were just in the process of like doing everything before it and Anyway, when Bodies, Bodies, Bodies came out, and so we're sitting there in the audience at different theaters because we live several hours away from each other, and Alice goes on her podcast rant. And we sank a little lower in our seats, and we're like, oh, that's funny. And the more time goes on, the funnier that rant gets about a podcast. Is a lot of hard work as she's like covered in blood and sobbing.
Like, I was like cheering. I was like, podcast representation. That's the most accurate podcast.
I was laughing so hard in the movie theater when that happened. I was like, oh my God, I feel seen. Because, you know, you see like, I forget, I think it was it Adam Devine? Is that his last name? Devine?
It was one of those.
He's like in
Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect, yeah.
Oh, okay. I think it's Devine, but again.
He was like hired, he was doing a podcast. He's like, yeah, podcast is easy. You just get up there and you talk and then you're done. Like, must be nice to be rich and famous and be able to hire a team to do all the other shit to prep your nails and do all that kind of stuff. So you just have to sit in the booth and just talk for an hour. Must be nice.
Yeah. Probably have like notes pre-written for them, and yeah.
Well, I mean, like so many of those podcasts too, like, and this isn't like a bad thing, but like they're not movie podcasts. I feel like are such a different beast than like a kind of chatting podcast. Because I feel like a lot of the time, like celebs just like have friends on and they chat, and not to like downgrade that, but like we have to like a lot of podcasts involve so much research and prep. It's not just like shooting a shit, and that is kind of what a podcast is, but it's not what a podcast is, if that makes sense.
I will say, though, the podcast community is wonderful. Everyone has been so collaborative. If I needed help with something, people reached out and helped me with what I needed to do. I think everybody asked to be a guest pretty much has agreed and came on, and it's been a really great time. And that was surprising. I finally was just like, oh, I found my people. They like movies as much as I do.
Well, then, so how did you get into movies? Like, what was your relationship with film? Have you always been this way? How did you kind of become a person who loved movies?
Oh, that is a story as well. I grew up extremely religious. I mean, that's a real scarred for life, am I right?
Yeah.
And so I was not allowed to watch much as a kid. It was very clean on a VCR. No going to theaters, nothing like that. I remember my first really big movie experience that made an impact on me as a child was Beauty and the Beast. I was sitting there and the Beast died, and I'm little enough. I'm not thinking, well, of course he's not dead. And I was sobbing. I was so upset. And then he came back and I was like, whoa. I didn't process this in the same way as a child, but looking back, it was like the way that stories could move you and everything in just this different way. And so I was just like, this is really cool. And just how films were. And I just devoured them, what little I was allowed to watch growing up. I just loved them. Every single kind, musicals.
How old were you when you saw Beauty and the Beast? Do you know? Do you remember?
Oh, I'm not sure. I was little. I was born at the very end of '88, so...
Okay.
Yeah, I was very little. And loved James Bond movies, the ones that were PG that I was allowed to see.
Right. So was it like a rating? Were you just allowed to see like G and PG or?
Yeah, it was a rating thing. And also it depended on the rating. Like if there was a lot of like innuendo or something, like I wouldn't be allowed to watch it, or I don't know. It was, it's whatever. I have spent a lot of my life playing catch up on all the things that I had missed out on, which is another really fun thing for the podcast.
There you go.
That's true. Well, so then how did you get introduced to horror? Like, when did you kind of start wading into the world of horror movies?
That was after I Know What You Did Last Summer came out. And whenever it would have premiered on, I believe, HBO or something, and we did not have HBO because we did not have television because that was, a sin, obviously. And we were at a hotel for some reason, and I had seen a commercial for I Know What You Did Last Summer coming on that night, and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. And I would have been little because, that came out in 97. I would have been young. I'm not sure how much longer it would have been before it was on HBO, but, maybe a year. And So I stayed up after my parents went to bed and watched I Know What You Did Last Summer on television and was enthralled. It was deliciously spooky. It scared me. I was like, this is great. This is such a fun feeling. I love this. And I've been chasing that high ever since.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Did your parents ever find out?
I think I told them at some point later, like years later, but I was obsessed. And then I got so excited when the second one came out, and I even loved that because I was very young. And I still am, I have affection for it, but I will agree it's, objectively not great. And I was very, very excited to hear about the upcoming possible legacy sequel. I literally about screamed and texted 3 people.
Have you seen the third one? Wasn't there a third one?
I pretend that doesn't exist. I have seen it, yes.
I've never seen that one. I've only seen the first 2.
Yeah.
And Jack Black with dreads was like, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
I blocked that out. It's not a huge Jack Black fan in the best of times, and
Oh, okay.
Comedians just look like I feel like they're trying too hard, and I don't know. He just it doesn't work for me. I get that everybody loves him, and I've also never seen School of Rock, so that could have been, that could be the game changer for me.
If you don't like him, I don't think it'll change it for you. If you think he's trying too hard, I don't think School of Rock's going to change it for you. And I love School of Rock and I love Jack Black, but I just don't think that's going to change it for you.
I did think he was very funny in Jumanji.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like a blanket hatred for him. It's just I just haven't seen him in, and usually School of Rock is what is cited as why people love him so much.
He's really good in that one.
True.
I'm more of a fan of his musical side than his comedic side.
Mm.
Although he has a fun YouTube channel.
Oh, I'm sure.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
I think he created it during pandemic.
Oh yeah, his TikTok too. But so you said that, Clayton, that you like being scared. You like that feeling. Do you get scared now still, or are you desensitized to horror a little bit?
Oh, I still get scared, but it's in a different way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most recently, Skinamarink, I thought was fucking terrifying.
It was. Jesus, good lord.
It really worked for me. But I'm not gonna, I'm not embarrassed to say this. For 2 nights after I saw that, if I was walking through the house at night, I was freaked out. I slept with the light on, and I was like, I haven't felt like that since I was 13 years old. That was amazing. Thank you,
Hell yeah. Oh, love that.
It does a good job of bringing you back to that childhood fear of the dark. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I remember walking up from the basement up to my room and being like, this is kind of dark in here. Why am I walking with the lights off? Because that's what I normally do. But yeah, no, I get that. I'm glad that movie worked for you because it's sort of hit or miss with people.
Yeah. I mean, I like experimental stuff. I like stuff that's different. I love Climax. I've watched Climax multiple times, and that is a movie that is not for a lot of people.
That's true. Saw that for the first time with Mary Beth.
Oh, what did you guys think?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did. Oh, yeah. God, that was a while ago.
That was a long time ago, it feels like.
Good old French cinema.
Gaspar Noé is hit or miss for me, but I really like Climax. I do really enjoy it. I think the opening sequence is absolutely fucking incredible. One of the best opening sequences of all time. I think Gaspar Noé is again hit or miss with him, and I do love Violence and New French Extremity, and I think this one is one of my favorites of his for sure.
I would agree.
Even though it's absolutely nightmarish. But
yes, I will watch that opening sometimes if I'm just bored. I'm like, I'm going to sit and watch this for 15 minutes because it's hypnotic.
Just the dancing. It's just so good.
I think that is the only of his movies I've seen.
Really? Some of them are really good. None of them are easy watches, but
no.
My gosh, do you remember when someone almost brought Irreversible to the podcast? I forget who it was, but
oh my god, I know. I was like, do I have to?
And they changed the last minute.
They saw that as a child?
Yeah.
I think we had to I think we had to explain you were a little bit, I think they were a little bit too old for it to be considered part of the podcast.
I was like, that
movie I couldn't remember
exactly
it was
why.
Deeply traumatized me as an adult. I couldn't imagine even trying to process that as a child.
There are some movies that people have brought here that I'm like, I don't understand. Martyrs, for instance. I could not imagine seeing that as a kid.
Yeah, I think I watched that when I was in college.
High School, baby. but obviously we know how I've
You're
turned
so
out.
edgy and mature.
Literally, that's what I thought. I was like such a little brat in high school. I was like, I watched Human Centipede by myself on my portable DVD player last night from Netflix. Like, what are you gonna do about it?
What did you do?
Yeah, like, what did you do? And they like had
players.
a life and like saw, like went out, and I was like, well, I watched Antichrist by Lars von Trier in the dark.
That's a movie.
I've never seen
It
that
is.
either.
It's a movie. It's
Terry,
a movie.
you need to get into your depressing.
Do I though? I'm not a fan of his.
I was gonna say Lars von Trier.
Melancholia is a beautiful, beautiful film.
I've not seen
the best representation of depression I have ever seen.
Melancholia is good. That one I like.
Knocked out of the park.
I've seen The House That Jack Built, which I absolutely hate. I despise that movie so much.
Yeah.
And then the one with Nicole Kidman.
Oh God, Dogville.
Yeah, because I was
the
like,
one where she's like,
it's
like the weird stage. It's like a stage play. It's like very much as Dogma 95. Like,
yeah,
no, that's not Dogma, but like, yeah. Oh wow, you've seen that's a fascinating range of Lars von Trier movies you've seen.
You know,
I've seen Dogville and The House Jack Built.
Listen, I am a Nicole Kidman gay, and I was obsessed.
We all
fair.
I ordered that one from eBay as like a bootleg DVD because I was like, I gotta see this movie. I gotta see Nicole Kidman because I was obsessed. And then I was like, I don't remember ever finishing it.
Did you? Yeah, you were like
what the fuck is this?
Nicole, I found my limit. This is
I'm
too
gonna go
much
watch
for
Moulin
me.
Rouge.
Like, no way. Yeah. Go back to that,
just
Nicole.
go watch that instead. Speaking of Moulin Rouge, Soapbox, why is that movie not available on 4K yet?
Thank you. That one begs for it. All the colors.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters for a re-release a couple years ago, and I was like, this is like seeing this for the very first time, and I've just been dying for a 4K release of it ever since, and I'm just like, they would make so much money. I was obsessed with
that movie. I had the piano book for it. I would practice all the music on it. I was obsessed.
Of course you did. Did you play it? Did you play the music and sing to it?
Oh, yeah. When my parents were at home, it was just me in the house. Yeah. I was like pounding out my feelings on the piano. Come what may, you know?
I mean, I'm not opposed to still doing that. Not on the piano, but I will sing along happily.
But the version of Roxanne in that movie, absolutely hot, sexual, incredible, and I listened to it. I like it better than the actual, like, version by the Police. So
Same.
I'm glad that we're all in agreement. I think that's how you know there's gays in the room, when everyone knows that that's a better version of Roxanne. Anyway.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I just think that's an obvious answer, so.
Good. Glad. No, I found my people. I found my people, and I'm very glad about that.
Exactly. Same. So as you're like finding horror movies as an adult, what would you say are some of like your favorites?
Some of my favorite horror movies. Oh wow. How many can I?
I want your top 100.
Oh,
right now.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh God. I feel like I'm in Drop Dead Gorgeous. I've spelled it 50 states. I really loved The Witch for something a little more recent. I adored that. I love the new Suspiria and the old Suspiria. I'm really fond of the 90s slashers, all of them, from, Valentine to Scream. That was,
Valentine.
During your formative teenage years when, that's the type of the Jessica Biel Texas Chainsaw and the original Texas Chainsaw. I actually really like a lot of the remakes just because I was at the right age to receive them properly. So I still really enjoy them. I can appreciate that not all of them are great, but I have fun with them.
When a Stranger Calls.
Ugh, R.I.P. By R.I.P. I mean disappointing.
Yeah. I don't like that one.
Okay, good.
I'll go strongly on the record. I do not like When a Stranger Calls remake.
The OG is so good.
I have never actually seen the OG because I saw the remake and I hated it so much. I didn't even want to see
but the remake is basically
like the original.
The first act of the original is basically blown up to be the entire remake. Like,
oh, that's so
the remake
weird.
is like the the entire first act of that movie stretched out to, what, an hour and a half?
Oh, God.
Not good. Not good.
I love New French Extremity. Like, I love those.
Okay.
When I'm in the right headspace. But I do really love them. I don't know. I just like a lot of horror. Blair Witch, fantastic. Last year,
Mary
pretty
Beth
much
hates
everything.
Blair Witch.
Oh, really?
No, she doesn't.
Oh.
She has the Talk to the found footage queen.
Fuck you.
I just love to give her, anytime that comes up, I just love to give her a hard time.
I just really like horror, and all
It's
of it.
fun.
It's fucking great. It's the best genre.
And I have really bad anxiety and stuff. And so people are like, how do you love horror movies? And I was like, have you not seen all the studies about how it helps anxiety?
Exactly. I think a lot about that, especially with, so I have OCD that kind of manifests as intrusive thoughts more than like, what you kind of think of when you think of OCD. And like New French Extremity and films like that are like really gory, like are really interesting, have been really interesting ways for me to like deal with intrusive thoughts and like see that on screen in a way that's like really helpful for processing that kind of thing. So like it can be really helpful. Obviously not for everybody, but like for some people it is incredibly, for some people it can be incredibly therapeutic, and I'll say that forever and ever and ever.
Films in general can teach you so much about yourself and about humanity in ways that you wouldn't understand. I mean, all forms of entertainment, just storytelling, books, TV shows.
Yeah.
And horror specifically, the way it can deal with your fears and just, I don't know, horror is very comforting to me. And,
oh, yeah.
It's just always there. There's, you can go back and watch your favorites a million times. There's always new horror movies coming out. Some better quality than others. We've been very blessed the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Incidentally, the most fun I had last year was with Orphan First Kill, and I think the best ones that came out was that X Pearl double whammy, for the record, in case anyone was wondering.
Those are both really good. No, I always think back to what Wes. Oh my God, let me try that again. I always think back to what Wes Craven said about how horror is like the boot camp for your psyche. Because I always feel like people that watch horror and that can consume horror are able to like deal with real life things a little bit easier than other people. Personally,
maybe. I can be kind of a hot mess, so I wouldn't necessarily attest to that, but I feel like in bad situations, I'm generally the one that has a better handle on things because, I've seen all the possibilities that could go wrong.
Exactly.
So let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will start talking about your Scarred for Life pick, Clayton.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot. We charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're back. So, Clayton, what film did you bring with you today for us to discuss?
I brought the seminal classic Toy Story from 1995.
Fuck yeah. All right. So, in Toy Story, a cowboy doll is profoundly threatened and jealous when a new spaceman action figure supplants him as top toy in a boy's bedroom. Best synopsis of Toy Story I've ever read in my entire life.
I love IMDb.
I loved that synopsis.
IMDb,
is that the IMDb synopsis?
Uh-huh.
Oh my god. I thought she was just being clever.
No.
Profoundly deeply threatened.
Okay, so speaking about being true, it's very accurate. It's just a little I don't know, a little over the top maybe, but speaking of being profoundly threatened, take us back to when you first saw this movie. How old were you? How did you see it? Why is this one your Scarred for Life pick?
Well, I was, I think, around 8. It would have just come to VHS. I was a major Disney kid. We had heard about how amazing Toy Story was and everything, so I watched it, and I didn't like it. Not just... I was terrified by this film. I hated the thought of my toys coming to life when I wasn't looking. I couldn't handle that. I'm just like, I want them to be toys that I play with, and then they're just like inanimate objects. I just don't want something watching me all the time. I don't like them like creeping around. I mean, just the thought itself was just horrifying. I'm like, this is not a friendly little children's story. This is nightmarish. Like, who the fuck thought of this? And I really hated it. And also, you know, all the mutated toys, they really creep me out. The one with the baby doll head and the spider legs that are made of metal, just horrifying. And then not to mention the era of CGI that made the people look just off.
Nightmarish, absolutely.
Yeah, I really deeply made me uncomfortable. And then when Toy Story 2 came out, my uncle really loved Toy Story. He thought it was amazing, you know, because he was an adult, and I feel like you can appreciate those a lot more as an adult. And so he had, like, you know, Woody and Jessie and Buzz, like, dolls that were life size. And the Jessie one, I like didn't even want to be in the same room with it. It freaked me out so much. So Toy Story, I went and saw the third one in theaters and appreciated it and everything. But even watching it again for this podcast, the original Toy Story, I was uncomfortable. I was just like, oh, this is creepy. This is still creepy. I understand why it's a good story, but this is fucking creepy.
And it's because the toys come alive?
Yeah, it's just the toys coming alive and the animation, and just it's just creepy stuff. And yeah, otherwise, the other thing, I didn't pick this because somebody had already done it, and Toy Story did disturb me more. But that scene in Jumanji when the kid turns into a monkey deeply traumatized me as well. I still, as an adult, I won't watch the original Jumanji. I'm like, I love Robin Williams. It's so fun, but I just don't want to see that effect on screen ever again.
I get that. I'm just thinking back, like, for me, as a kid, I had like an obsession with toys, and toys were like my life as a kid growing up. And I think I grew up in like the perfect time for them, because it was like the 80s had all of these wonderfully bizarre franchises coming out and toys, and people were making kids toys based off of like rated R movies. It was just like this wild time to be a fan of toys, and I had such an appreciation for them. Did you have it growing up?
I loved toys in a sense, but I was much more of like, I always wanted to be reading books from the second I was able to read. I just wanted to be reading all the time or watching movies. Those were the two things. It's just all I wanted to do. I would play, but it wasn't my primary. But I did really like toys. One of my favorite toys was actually a Velociraptor from, I think, when The Lost World came out. It was a stuffed Velociraptor, but it had like actual hard claws for its little, you know, it was fun. Wow. I loved it. And I think its head was also like solid plastic, but its body was stuffed. And it was awesome, and I took it everywhere with me.
I was just curious if you would ever like side-eye your toys after watching Toy Story.
Yes. I didn't like it. I don't think I played with them for a little bit just because... Then again, I might have. I really can't remember, but I either would have been afraid that they were mad that I didn't play with them, or I think it did change my relationship with toys for sure.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because toys are fun.
Toys are fun.
Oh, this movie irrevocably fucked up my relationship with toys forever. This movie fucked it up forever. Oh, yeah.
Let's dig into that.
So I love this movie. Like, I love this movie. I watched it a lot as a kid. I saw the second one and cried. The third one in theaters made me fucking cry. Was it the third one?
Yeah, the third one's the one that will make you bawl. I saw that in theaters as well. Yeah.
They're in like the little thing heading to the fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's packing him up to go to college, I think, at the
very
end.
Yes. So, I loved toys. This is my baby doll. No one can see it if you're listening to this, but this is the baby doll that I got for my first Christmas from my dad's mom. And I've had her ever since, and everyone hates her, but I love her deeply. Her name is just Baby, and I refuse to ever put clothes on her, so she's covered in stains. Her eyes won't stay open. She's disgusting, and I love her. And my husband hates her because she looks like a haunted doll. Like, look at her fucking face. Like, look at this fucking psycho.
I can see this and can confirm it looks like a terrifying haunted doll that you would see in an asylum found footage movie.
Like, I fucking pulled off her arm 6 times. I left her somewhere and she got covered in water. Her face is dirty as fuck. I'm almost 30. I've had this doll for almost 30 years. This bitch has come everywhere with me. She has come to every move, everything. And now she probably sits at my desk next to my creepy clown doll that I have. So I love toys. Specifically, I love stuffed animals. I collected them a ton. I loved them as a kid. I had Beanie Babies. Just to give you an idea of what this movie did to me, I had my Beanie Babies lined up on my bed, and I would rotate it every night so no one would get sad or jealous that I was cuddling with one of them more than the other.
Don't need no Woody Buzz Lightyear fighting going on.
No, and to the point that, there are still sometimes twinges in my head where I worry that she's mad at me because I don't give her enough attention. In my logical adult brain, I know that this is not real and this is an inanimate object. Okay. But I still sometimes get scared that she thinks I don't love her. And this movie did this to me.
To be fair, if any doll was going to come alive and kill you and in anger, it would probably be that one. I love Baby. She's adorable. But of any doll to come alive, I'm not worried about the Great Mighty Pooh, which is behind me, coming alive and murdering me. But that doll, I'm probably going to see that doll in my nightmares, Mary Beth.
Seriously.
You look how dirty she is. This is so I'm just look at her little butt. Look at her little butt.
That was amazing. I still have a stuffed animal from childhood that I named Chance because of Homeward Bound, but it is a stuffed jaguar, and it is still on my bed to this day. And I also worry sometimes he'll get jealous of my cat.
It's just this.
You're not the only one.
But I wanted my toys to be alive, and this is probably pretty sad. I think I was a super lonely kid, so I wanted my toys to be alive because they were the toys that they got me. I was convinced that they'd all be my best friend, and that we would hang out all the time, and it would be great. So I wanted my toys to be alive all the time. I would set little traps to find out if they were real or not.
Oh,
I was
before or after this movie?
After. This movie, it was my dream. I was fuck yeah, if my goddamn toys can come alive and hang out with me and love me, fuck yeah. But then it also fucked me up because I was oh my god, they have feelings. Oh my god. I am everyone is just so mad, and there's weird social dynamics going on with my toys, and I don't want that to be happening. So
power struggles.
Yeah, it's seriously I would get so worried about toys that were kept in certain parts of my room versus others. It definitely, again, this speaks to the neuroses that I have continued into adulthood that have manifested in different ways. But I have squishmallows that I make sure are organized so people they all get. It's so weird. It's I'm in therapy, I promise. But
same.
This movie I think tapped into this part of me that was I want my toys to love me, and I want my toys to feel loved, because I think it definitely had a very deep impact on me as a child. Aggressively so. And I love it so much, but it's so hard. It's such a heartbreaking movie. And seeing that at an age where as a kid who was like dealing with divorced parents and like people pleasing, like it was like, no, now my toys are mad at me too. Like, Jesus Christ. So, you know, really sorry, that's a downer, but like,
no,
it was really formative for me. And yeah,
it's a powerful film.
It is.
It is.
It can be for some people. It's interesting. Mary Beth, you're talking about how you might have been a lonely kid and you really loved your toys. That was the same way I was. And one of the things that I really like on a rewatch with this movie is the opening scene where the kid is playing with all of his toys, regardless of what genre, it was. It's like everyone's going to pull them all together and we're going to create stories out of it. And that's what I did as a kid. I remember having this old Fisher-Price. I had this very specific memory when I was watching this. There's this old Fisher-Price zoo like playset that I would use as like a battleground, and I'd have G.I. Joes fighting Thundercats and Ninja Turtles and all of these things fighting at this zoo. And it just, watching this opening sequence where it's like, I'm going to create this whole story involving a sheriff and involving Potato Head and involving like a Slinky Dog being a force field. Like all of the kind of creativity just brought me back to being a kid and being obsessed with all of my toys. And I think that's one thing that this movie does incredibly well.
And I think what the chaos of like the birthday party at the beginning also was really stressful to me, and still is very stressful because, and like in rewatching and thinking about it, like it has horror movie vibes in a way, a little bit, with like, especially because I think this movie captures scale really well and making you really realize like how small the toys are. It doesn't kind of do that thing where it's like, oh, we're just gonna kind of like fudge it and like not like really worry about perspective. But here they really do that really well, with like them getting on and off the bed, using the binoculars, like how hard it is for them to climb up the desk and do all this stuff. And this beginning part really solidifies it. And my favorite is always like they're all anxious because they're like, what fucking toys is he gonna get that are gonna like come and be competition? And like, man, what neurotic toys like Woody, like I think also spoke to me as like a neurotic person. I'm like, Woody is like king of neuroses and anxiety, and like I appreciate that. And the part where the kid, they're like, oh, it's a small toy, and they turn to the side and they're like, no, and it's like the massive toy, the massive present, and they're like, no, like that always gets to me. And I think the other part at the beginning that really got me was when she stepped on the army man and he was like, and you were like, oh my god, she just killed him. Like that always, especially on rewatches, like got to me, because whenever like I would break a toy, I'd be like, oh my god, I would be so upset. So that whole beginning sequence always sticks out in my head, between like the army man being broken and the fucking birthday party scene, like chaos ensuing with just kids everywhere screaming. Like how terrifying is toys to see all of those loud giants sprinting towards you and throwing you around and things. Like, holy shit.
It's like the kids' version of the entire movie of Mother.
Oh.
Incredible comparison. Wow, 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
Wow.
I had a realization on this rewatch, and I'll explain how I first saw this movie a little bit later, but this is pertinent. I just had this thought as I was watching this movie, where in some ways I was kind of Sid. I didn't blow any toys up or anything like that, but I do remember having, I can't remember what doll it was. Maybe it was, I'm wondering if She-Ra had real hair. It was some doll that I had real hair, and I remember cutting the hair off and then thinking that it was going to grow back, but then she ended up just having little,
the same fucking thing
little
with my Barbies.
Spiky hairs. Mm-hmm. And then I also remember pulling off the heads of the He-Man dolls, and because they could pop off, and then I'd put on like Skeletor's head onto He-Man's body and do all this. And I was like,
did you make them kiss?
Yeah.
Good.
Obviously.
I made my Bratz dolls kiss, so like
I just had this thought. I was like, oh god, was I a Sid growing up? Did my dolls hate me?
Like,
I mean, did you have barbed wire around your headboard?
No. I would have probably liked it as a kid.
Well, I mean,
Jesus. I think we're done. I think that's it. I think we're done with the podcast. Wow.
You just left the room on that one.
But then, so another thing about this movie that I think really messed with my head was when they go to Pizza Planet for Andy. Is it Andy's? Yeah, dinner. It's a dinner at Pizza Planet before they move.
Mm-hmm.
And one Pizza Planet, obsessed with it forever. Wish Pizza Planet was real. What a good name
me too.
For a pizza place / like an arcade, like iconic, incredible. And we get the moment where like Woody has already been kind of like usurped by Buzz Lightyear. Woody as Tom Hanks, Buzz Lightyear has LOL Tim Allen. Noted conservative piece of garbage. Yeah, and absolute cretin Tim Allen. Is like this sinister nature of Woody knocking Buzz behind the fucking desk with an RC car, but then they get left at the fucking Pizza Planet, which was always my biggest like fear as a kid, was leaving my toys places. Like, and it happened. I was the kid that if my toy was left somewhere, like I would have a meltdown. Like I would not be able to be. I was like inconsolable. Like if I left baby at my dad's house when I came home, from his house to my mom's, like I would cry. Like I would need my dad to go back and get it. Like it was like a whole fucking thing. So like the idea of like losing your toy and then watching them go on this like epic journey to come back to you, it's just like, my friends, my poor friends.
It is really tragic. I will agree. I just still think it's creepy.
No, I mean, like, it definitely is incredibly fucking creepy. Like, and again, like, we see the claw. We have the iconic claw.
Okay, that moment. Claw.
The iconic claw, because we have Woody and Buzz being left behind. They crawl into the machine. They crawl into the machine, right? Because Buzz thinks like, thinks that's the spaceship home. Uh-huh. It's like, oh honey, no, oh it's not. And we get our iconic little alien boys who are like a cult to the claw.
The claw,
which is hysterical that they have their own like little culture like that.
And that's like another reason I love this fucking movie, is that it takes these like things that you don't think, like these innocuous things that are just like in all arcades, and it becomes like this whole little ecosystem in society. And it's like, ooh, and it just like made my like little tiny brain just go insane when I like, and now I feel like I always say the claw whenever I see a claw machine.
Oh yeah, you have to.
It's kind of a subtle critique of religion too,
right? Like, goodbye my brothers and sisters, I will see you.
Yeah, he because at one point he literally says like, I have been chosen, I'm gonna go to a better place, as Sid is literally taking him up in order to feed him to his dog. Like, this is a there's a lot of subversive things in this movie.
And again, like, it's that iconic kind of thing from Pixar, because this is Pixar.
This is their first movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is like, I think, setting a lot of the tone for what Pixar does. Because I think Pixar movies are so good at being kids' movies, but also for adults. Like, speaking to things that grown-ups will understand and appreciate while not, like, making it too, like, serious for kids. And I always have appreciated that about Pixar movies, and Toy Story, I think, does that so well. And also, but again, like, takes kids seriously. I think Pixar has always taken kids seriously in their movies, and I've always appreciated that, as, like, knowing that kids can watch weird stuff and still really enjoy it and, like, get something out of it. They don't have to, like, treat them like they're dumb. And I like that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So I was 14 when this came out, and I was not about seeing this movie. So I did not actually see this movie until, I think, Toy Story 3 came out.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And I was like, because like my friends really wanted to go see Toy Story 3, and I was like, I haven't seen any of them. And so I remember sitting down as an adult and watching 1 and 2. I don't remember much about 2. And then seeing 3 in the movie theater. And I'm not a huge fan. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm not really a huge fan of Toy Story. I was a big fan of the third one. The third one broke me. I bawled in the movie theater at the very end. But this first one, I still, even now watching it, it doesn't really do it for me. I hate to say, but yeah, I don't know. And I know I'm like alone in this thought, but I don't know. There's something about it that it's fine. Although
I find that
will
really
say,
refreshing to hear, actually.
Oh yeah.
But also, I think the reason is at that point in everything, Pixar has done so much cool stuff since then.
Yeah.
Whereas at the time, like, that was a revolutionary way to tell a kid's story. True. And now, you know, that's not that special. Even by the time of Toy Story 3, Toy Story 1 would have seemed kind of inconsequential in the scope of stories they were telling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely think, like, my attachment to it has a lot to do with the age I saw it. And, like, the
Absolutely.
kind of way, like, the formative kind of influence it had on me. And, like, I can understand that seeing it. You're like, oh, this is good. But, like, Pixar has done some really interesting stuff since then. And, like, at 14, it's not necessarily going to resonate. It's resonate as much when you're like, I'm 14. Like, this is, like, not for me. Like, I want to watch older kid shit. Like, knowing you, I'd just be like, this is not, like, I'm too old for this shit. Like, absolutely not, kind of thing. Which is fair. Absolutely fair.
But if I was like your age, if I was like 8 at the time when I saw it, if I was like a kid and I had toys, I probably would have been enamored with this. This would have been right up my alley. But like, yeah, as a 14-year-old, I was like, I'm not going to go see this movie. And then I remember Monsters Inc. came out and I was like, I'm not going to go see that. I didn't see that till like my late 20s. I didn't see any of them.
Is really good.
It's okay.
What the fuck? That one I won't stand by. That I will not allow. That is not slander I will stand here. Monsters Inc. is superior.
Terry, this isn't Pixar, but how do you feel about Beauty and the Beast?
Oh, I love Beauty and the Beast. Well, okay. I have not seen it since I was like, when did that come out? Was that 90?
90? 91?
I have no idea.
Yeah, 91.
That movie changed me, but that in a different kind of way.
Yeah, I saw that one. I guess I would have been 10 when I saw that in the movie theater. I remember seeing that in the movie theater, and I really enjoyed it. But
I would love to see that in the theater.
It was gorgeous.
Do you know what my favorite part of Toy Story is?
What's that?
The fucking shark comes up next to Woody with the hat and goes, I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I quote that so often and for no reason. Like, it doesn't,
that
like,
is
I'll put on a hat and be like, my
thing
name's
to be your
Woody.
favorite part.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. It's the best part, the little squeaky shark. And they even have, like, the little air vent that they have in those toy sharks that make the squeaky sound. And it's just so cute. That is my favorite part of the whole movie. I know it's 2 seconds and it's dumb, but it's just, like, the way that they give all of these toys personalities is just so fucking good and so cute and makes it so much more than just like a kid's movie about toys. But like, it just, again, it's the heart that they put into these movies that makes everything feel so tragic and so sad, and like the perilous journey they undertake to like get back to their kid feels so much like the stakes feel so big. And that shark was voiced by Jack Angel, who would go on to voice Teddy in AI.
Oh
shit, really? There's, I mean, like, the cast here is, like, Don Rickles.
The voice cast is fantastic.
It really is.
Mr. Potato Head. Oh,
he's great. Head. The cast is fantastic. Jim Varney as the Slinky Dog. I remember him from Ernest. Like, that, I was a huge Ernest fan when I was a kid.
Wallace Shawn, who is
yes, Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. He was the
also in Gossip
Rex.
Girl.
He was in Gossip Girl. I fucking totally forgot that. Oh my god, John Ratzenberger was Ham, the piggy bank.
Annie Potts.
Annie Potts is Bo Peep.
Laurie Metcalf as Mrs. Davis.
Mom.
Yeah.
I love how everyone's like, my favorite in the voice cast, listing on Wikipedia, they have Laurie Metcalf as Mrs. Davis, Andy and Molly's single mother. Like, I love how they have to, like, draw attention to the fact that there's no dad. Because I think that there is but there's, like, some fuck-up tragedy story going on around here, around, like, Andy and like, we don't really get the full picture, but something weird is going on with Andy and his family.
I mean, that's the Disney formula. They hardly ever have well-adjusted, together parents. It's always just one. Somebody dies, they're divorced, or it's just never mentioned. But
I think Andy's dad did something bad and left.
Okay.
Because,
like, how bad?
Well, I don't know, but like, I think he is no longer in the picture, but not because he passed away or something. Because I went down on a deep dive after watching this today, because this is what I do. And I did find some articles like talking about the setup because the dad's never mentioned. They're moving from a bigger house to a small house. By the end of the movie, they have moved into a smaller house. There are no pictures of the father on the wall whenever we see them. He just does not exist. The baby is young, so it's not as if he had passed away, there probably would have been pictures because the baby is still a young baby, and it wouldn't have been something that like, you know, we threw out or we got rid of. She's not wearing a wedding ring. So I think he either abandoned the family or they're getting a messy divorce and she is leaving. There is something going on there.
I'm in on that theory. All those points are true and add up to, yeah.
And also, like, to be perfectly honest, I feel like knowing that Disney loves to, like, exploit a dead parent, if there was a dead parent, I feel like they would have worked that in somehow. You know what I mean? It would have been like, oh, yeah, Andy's real sad because his dad died. Or, like, there would have been, like, a toy that was, like, his dad's favorite toy or some, like, fucking sad shit like that. Like, that, so I could see that. I feel like a while ago I read like fan theories about this. Like, why am I reading Toy Story fan theories? Like, what is happening right now?
Well, and it would explain why his like two favorite toys are kind of parental figures.
Yeah.
Male parental figures.
Fuck. I never fucking thought about that.
So, I mean, there's something there.
I just really like that he has a Bo Peep toy.
I do love that he has the Bo Peep toy. He has a good range of toys.
He does, but like his favorites are old dad and new dad.
Mm-hmm.
That's too much for me my daddy issue ass to process right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to watch it again, but I kind of want to watch it again just to view it through this new lens.
Okay, but we get to Sid.
And oh God.
Oh yeah, the actual scary part, not the existentially anxiety-inducing rest of it.
Honestly, Clayton, what I was like when you said Toy Story, I was like, oh, obviously it's going to be Sid and the mutilated dolls because that's terrifying.
Yeah, that was like just my secondary fear from it.
I know that's what kills me because it's like that is like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Toy Story. Someone and I mentioned to someone, I was like, yeah, we're recording Toy Story, and they're like, that scarred someone for life. I was like, yeah, I'm sure it's the toys. Like the Sid in this toy is like, oh yeah, that is scary. And so I was like immediately like, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. And so that's kind of what I was focusing on when I was rewatching this last night. And, you know, the dolls are really fucked up and they are presented in such a horror way. Like there is a lot of horror homages
like a horror movie, any of those scenes.
Yeah.
When they fucking crawl under the bed, when like they
the light.
Yes, it's
the light
so
that's like moving back and forth,
scary.
And they're just like come out of the shadows, and like it almost. I mean, they, you know, Buzz calls them cannibals because they go and they like, you know, swarm the body parts, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
And it is precious that it's like teaching, like it doesn't matter what somebody looks like and stuff because they end up, you know, being good and helping, even though they looked scary. But it doesn't take away from the fact that they look fucking scary. I'm 34 years old and I'm still like, that is some fucked up shit on screen right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely, and like, they didn't, I'm trying to, I obviously rewatched it, but I'm just like trying to think, like, did the toys, they know that the toys know of Sid. They know of Sid's behavior. Do they allude to the fact that he does weird shit to his toys too? At any point? Because I feel like they talk like a little bit about like Sid being a weird kid and doing weird shit to toys, and it's like kind of like the urban even the urban legend amongst the toys that like there are weird things that lurk in this kid's house.
I mean, we get the image of Sid blowing up an army man. I mean, it wasn't an army man. I forget what they're called, but it was like some bigger army doll that he blows up with a firework. So like we do get little hints of that, but I don't think it really alludes to the fact that he tears apart his toys and reforms them.
Yes.
Tears the heads off of his sister's toys and reforms them. Like he's a bad dude.
God, the fucking like, I'm looking at all of them right now, and I just love them all so much. The little car with the legs is one of my favorites, but also the Jack in the Box with the creepy, like, Frankenstein
the creepy hand
that drags itself,
dragging itself along the floor.
Oh, it's so creepy. And again, like, it feels like we're in, like, a horror movie setting. Like, and again, like, mad scientist vibes too with everything. It's just, like, so deeply unsettling in the way it's framed. Like, I love, they know exactly what they're doing with horror tropes playing with that here, and it's incredible.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of horror homages in this. I love the first one that really jumped out at me was the Whack-A-Mole game at Planet Hollywood, the Planet, what is it called?
Pizza Planet.
There's the Whack-A-Mole game, but it's like chest bursters, and they have to like smack the chest bursters down.
Oh yeah.
And then the carpet outside of Sid's room is the shining carpet.
Yes! Fuck yes. Oh, And
I wondered that when I was watching it. I was like, is that?
Yeah. It's totally the shining
I will
carpet.
say, speaking of the creepy toys, I do love the fact that there is a hooker toy. I find that very funny.
Oh my god, it's just so good. I love her.
Apparently, like, so Collider has an article about 10 times Pixar referenced The Shining. So this is like a continued thing throughout the movies with like Sid's carpet. They bring up Apollo 11 and rocket ship references. They bring up there's a couple things in Toy Story 3.
Wow.
There's like a lot. There's a lot of horror of those kind of references here that I think it's fantastic.
It's cool but weird. I love.
There's a lot of weird shit around The Shining.
Yeah.
Oh man, I fucking love that he takes the pterodactyl doll and rips off the doll head and puts the pterodactyl head. I love it. It's my favorite. I would love that doll.
My favorite moment though is the lava lamp with the heads floating in it.
Yes!
What the fuck?
That is really cool, but I mean, as a child, that's really horrifying.
Yes, absolutely.
Like now I was like, that's cool. This is still creepy, but like, that's cool. This kid's at least like creative. He's going to like grow up to be a serial killer, but you know.
Like, yeah. I guess I could like never conceive of like doing that to my toys as like a child.
Never.
Like, I didn't know that you could do that. Like, I felt like it was breaking a rule to like do something like that to your toys, and which again speaks to me being like a rule person, but like it was something I was like, I didn't think you could do that. I also want to bring up the fucking first person POV we get when Sid comes, like when they bring the fucking toys home, and we get the POV of the toys from Sid's backpack as he's running through the house. And again, found footage freak here, but just love getting toy POV from a backpack at like that level of the dog barking, of the sister, of him running into the room. Like, it's just
of him throwing the toy to the dog to be a chew toy.
Yes. and again, like the setting up of the horror, it sets up the horror so well. You're like, oh my god, of things to come. Like, our fate is fucked. It's just,
well, even the alien shouting, "Nirvana is coming! The mystical portal awaits!" as he throws him to the dog Scud to be like tore into. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh god,
it's awful. It's just awful.
This movie is just so good. And I will say, I did kind of wish I could have all those locks on my door like Sid did.
I do love all of his locks.
I had little brothers, so I was like, I want those locks on my door. Never speak to me, kind of thing.
My favorite moment though on a rewatch is Buzz's existential crisis.
Same.
He finally realizes that he is actually a toy. And he like is at a tea party with Sid's sister, and I'm trying to pull up my notes on where that was, but he's having a dinner party, and the dolls are headless. He has lost his arm, and he is acting drunk, and he's talking about how 1 minute you're defending the whole galaxy, then you're sucking down Darjeeling with Marie Antoinette and her little sister, and it's such a surreal moment of comedy. I just like, this is fantastic. And these poor dolls that have lost their head, and he is just going down that rabbit hole of, fuck, my life is a joke. And he pulls off the sticker that is on his arm, and it's just like, this moment was my favorite.
That was mine as well. I did really appreciate that as a man in his 30s.
Like, what was the name he gave himself? But like,
Mrs. Nesbit.
Mrs. Nesbit.
Mrs. Nesbit, that's what it is.
Can't you see the hat? I'm Mrs. Nesbit.
It's just such a weird movie. It's just like, you look back on it and like rewatching it and you're like, this is such a weird fucking movie to watch as a kid and loved, but it's just so good. It's just so good.
And it's huge. They just announced another one.
Yeah,
oh, did they really?
Right?
Yeah, they just announced that they're doing a Toy Story 5.
I have not seen the fourth one.
Like today, actually.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
Literally today I saw it. I didn't even read the article. I just saw it because I was like, well, that's weird.
That's weird.
That is wild timing.
I will say that as an adult, watching Woody's friends turn on him so viciously
and so quickly
is a lot. So quickly.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Like, I get it. He pushes him over the edge, you know, he's like tossing him out the window on accident. He didn't mean for that to happen. But they just like all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're sacrificing you. You're gone. And I'm just like, this is actually kind of cruel. The only time forgiveness comes up is all of a sudden Buzz is there. And it's like, oh, Buzz is there. We're all happy. Everything. And I'm like, poor Woody. Like, yes, he's a jealous little bitch, but poor Woody. I felt bad.
Yeah, I felt bad for him a little
sad.
bit, but also I think Woody is kind of an asshole, so...
Woody is an asshole, but he still should have been allowed to explain himself.
That's true. It's true. But it's okay, we have a happy ending and multiple other movies of them navigating being a toy. Fucking Jessie's story in Toy Story 2 ruined my life. That was the saddest thing of all time. Like, my little girl gave me up. Like, that was just too much for my brain in the second one. I don't know, have you seen the second one? Terry, did you watch it?
Yeah, I don't remember much about it.
Yeah,
I just remember the third one mostly.
The Girl Cowboy.
Yeah.
But fuck, I love this movie, and obviously it shaped my young brain in a very fucked up sort of way.
So you guys have seen them all? All four of them?
I haven't seen the fourth one.
Okay.
I have seen all four of them, but I did not watch the Buzz Lightyear movie.
I did not watch the Buzz Lightyear movie either. I had no desire to see that movie.
Mm-mm.
I was good.
None,
like, no, thank you.
4 was actually, I liked 4, and it introduced one of my favorite things in the franchise with the character of Forky that was a toy made out of trash.
Yeah.
And his whole entire thing of just being like, I'm trash, and trying to jump in the trash can, and everybody's always trying to get him out. Like, no, like this trash that was given sentience, and it's really funny.
Well, do we want to wrap up and give us our rating out of 5?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right, Terry, you're up first. How many mutilated dolls out of 5 do you give to us?
Like 3. Honestly,
okay. Okay.
This movie doesn't really have any nostalgia factor for me. Watching it as an adult, I don't really have a whole connection to this one. The third one, I think the third one is fantastic. The third one, like, broke me probably in the same way that if I was a little kid watching the original Toy Story would have done to me. But, like, the third one with the idea of, like, Andy being a grown-up and having to, like, give his toys away. As someone that, like, loves, I mean, you can look behind me. I love toys. I love them. I played with them much longer than I probably should have. I remember being, like, in high school and still, like, pulling out, like, the toys and playing with them.
Aww.
I was obsessed with them.
It.
I remember being really embarrassed one time because my hot neighbor next door, his name was Joe. And I was like so obsessed with him and I was so deeply closeted. But I remember playing with like my brother's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys. And he came in my room, like my parents just let him in the house and he came in my room and I was so fucking embarrassed because I love toys. And so the third one with the idea of him going away and having to get rid of his toys just like broke me and really spoke to me. But this one just doesn't, it's fine. It's good. I think it's funny. The cast is fantastic. Oh, that was one thing I wanted to bring up. Randy fucking Newman, his music.
Yeah, the music.
Yes.
I'm not a fan. And, you know, I remember... Oh, no. There's like...
Bitch, what? Don't be hating on my boy Randy.
Oh, my gosh. Now? No, there is not 30 Rock. There is a Family Guy episode where Randy Newman is playing the piano and it's the apocalypse and the Family Guy's family, you know, comes up to him and he's like... he is narrating everything that's going on and writing a song about it. And like that actually describes Randy Newman's style of writing music for Toy Story. Cause like there's the moment where Buzz is like realizing that he can't fly and everything. And the song's about, I can't sail no more. And he's like, he's literally like, it's almost as if he's watching what's happening on screen and just like pounding out on the keyboard and singing it. And it makes me laugh so much now. I can't think of it. Anything else. So sorry about that. But okay, that song is decent. But again, it's all very on the nose. It's all very on the nose.
It is on the nose, but it's a children.
You're just a fucking hater.
So yeah, I'm a 3
Terry
for me.
Menard's certified hater.
Certified hater, that's me. Yeah, that's me. What about you, Mary Beth?
Like 5. Yeah. This movie is just like everything to me. I think it's like an incredible piece of animation. I think it set Pixar off on an incredible journey of making deeply empathetic, emotional films that aren't just for kids. I think it obviously shaped the way I think in a lot of ways. That is wildly, like, thinking about it before this podcast, like, oh god, Toy Story dealt some psychic damage to me, like irreparable psychic damage. But that's okay. I love this movie for what it is and what it has kind of given me and what the whole series has been for me. So it's a 5. 5 mutilated dolls. I will gladly love them and cherish them in my home. Clayton, you have the final word. How many mutilated dolls out of 5 do you give Toy Story?
Well, I think Toy Story, I appreciate everything it did and what would come after. I think Toy Story 3 is pretty much a perfect film. It also really creeps me out to this day, but it's good. I can't say I enjoyed it, but last night, in all fairness, it's the fact that it still creeps me out this many years later.
Yeah.
You know, in a horror perspective, that's pretty fucking awesome. And, you know, not a lot of things have that kind of staying power.
Yeah.
But it is really well done. It's really well shot. That cast, I quite like the music. It's good. I appreciate it. I don't love it, and seeing the heights that things would go to, but I will split the difference and easily give it a 4 out of 5 mutilated toys.
There we go. Love that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Clayton, for joining us to talk about Toy Story. Where can the listeners find you, and what do you have coming up on the podcast that you can share?
Well, listeners can find me pretty much anywhere you get your podcast, just Men Who Like Movies. If you want to find me on socials, I am at Just Happy to See You on Twitter and Letterboxd, number 2, letter C, letter U. We have a Twitter and Instagram under Triple M Pod with 3 M's. We have a Facebook page, Men Who Like Movies. You can pretty much just find us everywhere. What we have coming up, I'm not sure when this episode comes out, but just in the month of February, we had an episode on Valentine from 2001, you know, fun little slasher. We've got an episode on Sleepless in Seattle about to come out. We are about to record an episode on Dracula, Bram Stoker's from 92. That one's going to be really, really good. I'm really excited about that one. And to finish up February, we'll be doing the Kate Winslet, Leo DiCaprio reunion, Revolutionary Road.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Nice little love story. Round it all out.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. What was your experience with Toy Story? You can send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. I'm at MB McAndrews.
And I'm McGailey Dreadful.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. And if you want to help support us, sign up through Patreon.
Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.
Somebody please think of the children! Somebody please think of the children!
You want to have fun and have scratchers to scratch? There's a playful way you can do just that. Scratch with the key or acrylic nail. Scratch with the quill from a porcupine tail. Use a belt buckle from your friend Lamar. Or scratch with your pick while you play guitar. You can scratch in a bunch of different playful ways. Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day.
Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
The right shoes can take an outfit from good to great. Allbirds elevates your everyday style with timeless comfort and supreme versatility. Like their all-new Courier, a shoe with nods to a classic silhouette for undeniable appeal. And made from 100% organic cotton. The Allbirds Courier is a natural classic shoe that keeps up with each step you take throughout your day and night. And at the Allbirds Innovation Lab, they're doing all the sciencey stuff like research and testing to create shoes from natural, sustainable materials. So you can look good while doing good. Everyday comfort delivered. Allbirds All-New Courier. Elevate your super natural style at allbirds.com today. And use code SOCKSTYLE for free socks with your purchase. That's ALLBIRDS.com. Code SOCKSTYLE.